I have an old map, so I can tell. Otherwise, I'll choose these. Now the new schedule for people is not on the conference website.
That's why there's no one. That's true. So let's try to make this work just like that.
You know that you're saying this. Excuse me.
One check, one check.
Excuse me, this one. Not yet.
Why don't you select unplug and replug maybe?
Why don't you select on that side?
Could you please come and have a look? Yes, we have.
Okay, press whatever you just press the first one on the side. Yeah, now press the same thing on the other side.
You have to
That's
unplug and
allowed.
replug.
Could you come and see? This one is the right one, right? Right? And let me just turn it on. No. Okay. Yes, oh, thank you.
That sounds good. What is this? What is this called? It's highlighted, like it's already selected. But it's not. It's selected, it shows like it's selected, but it's not. So when you talk to you select on here, right? On the screen. Mic check. Hello. Testing one. Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Testing. Testing 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Testing 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Testing 1 2 3. There's us 30, 40. I mean, we can test it straight to speakers. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. That's where this is good. Yeah.
It's like I don't know. This game thinks maybe it's bad, but like it's bad, way better than I expected. Yeah, it's like significantly better than that.
Oh yes. Thanks so much, David.
Go ahead.
Probably just one. Yeah, absolutely not taking any. So just realized that I'm working on stuff at 9%.
Is this a coach?
You mentioned that you said yesterday. I enjoyed this like third.
Oh,
They don't carry as many their own. Yeah, I was just saying. I don't know the goals. Set to like.
Yeah, so we have another system that came through the.
Yeah, you said that was
That's
yes.
I'm very controlling. Controlling that.
That's very good.
Sometimes, given the break.
Yeah.
We're starting 5 minutes, everyone.
I'm forwarding you the email. Forwarding it. I want to get through that.
Yeah. Okay, that gets so crazy.
How long?
Yeah. Are you training others like yours?
Yeah, so I originally built it as a working questions. He would have decided. But he would just like every now and then. I
Hey, Doug, what's the digital music? We have a digital music program.
That's on, that's great. And then for 9, Massachusetts. I didn't know. He did more of a clarification. So, yeah. Yeah, he's ready to talk about it. Yeah.
Oh, my. My machine has an HCL approach to serve. You see descriptions of things that have been done with it. It's hard to find the actual solid record. Hard to justify, hard to judge the quality of interaction.
Have you done some
Through writing about our sections, so I'm like trying to get credit where credit is due. You want to hear that. Sometimes you find it strange. We all know it is actually, but 10 years later, there was Sister Pepper that written a program to create canons. And I heard of Sister Pepper, and then finally found Christopher Zira, Teresa had written this article and had the song material, so I became the case. So I was recording for him, but it's not anywhere. Oh, yeah.
grainy YouTube.
Some of that 20 years would be like, it doesn't have a long
I know.
It's just so warm.
That's true. That's good.
Good morning.
Hi.
Would I be able to borrow this just for
The password thing?
the password?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, hello everyone. So this morning we have two sessions. The first one is Zoom in action, and we're going to start with Michael Kazé and Sia. We're going to present some of the results of the Neukom Turing test for the arts. And then after that, we'll have 45 minutes of informal demo session, and we can overlap over the coffee break and move around with our computers, showing each other some of our achievements and getting feedback from each other. After that, we'll have a panel discussion with the new concept artist when we come back. And then we finish with a 20-25 minutes discussion about the workshop, what's good about it, what's terrible about it, and how to improve it and move forward in the future. Because that's where we're going to spend all of our time. All right, good morning.
Thanks very much, Philippe. And I'm here today with my colleague, Gus Sharp, who is both at Dartmouth College and one of the institutes at Dartmouth College is the Neukom Institute for Computational Science. And this is a radically cross-disciplinary computational institute. The idea is they're looking at how computation interfaces with everything that isn't computer science. Okay? That's kind of what they want to do. And they have a fair amount of resources, and they one of the things that the Neukom Institute asked me to help to do the last couple of years is to create what they call Turing tests in the creative arts. So in 2016, we ran a Turing test competition, and there were several parts to it. One of them was, can you write a system that under controlled conditions, that means you give us the software, we run the software can't connect to the internet, right? We give it a seed or a starting phrase. The first competition, DigiLit, is can the machine write a short story based on the phrase it's given? And we validate the output by giving it different phrases and seeing how it responds. The second competition was called Poetic, and it was to write a sonnet, which is a much more constrained 14-line poem, kind of in the style of Shakespeare's sonnet, but there are other styles as well. And again, under controlled conditions, given a seed phrase or seed word, can you write a sonnet about that word, essentially. The third competition last year was something called, what was it called? Algorithms, terrible name, but spelled R-H-Y. And that was a competition to see if a machine could DJ. We had an actual DJ party with 200-300 people participating. And this was done by phone voting. So you could vote by phone for whether you thought the current DJ set was being created on the fly by a machine or by a human. So last year we had a clear, one kind of borderline of a clear winner in the DJ Turing test based on audience voting. Do you think it's a human or machine? So it's kind of, that was a Turing test. This year, and we also had winning entries for, well, no clear winner for Poetics and no clear winner for DigiLit. So we had a panel of expert judges, including NPR hosts and a bunch of famous people, read these things. And because they were framed as Turing tests, people went machine hunting, right? So they can kind of tell, oh, I'm pretty sure that machine could do this, right? And this could mean something like punctuation, or it could mean, it just feels like that sentence wasn't constructed right. So this year what we've done is we've phrased the competition slightly differently. We ran Poetics again, we ran DigiLit again, we ran a different music task, which Gus ran this year. And he'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. But basically, we changed the way that we evaluate certain music so that everything was evaluated on a continuous scale. And it was all done by internet voting. We mailed out mailing lists, got people to participate in surveys, and did a statistical analysis to see if you get the deviation of the distribution of ratings, different kinds of preference ratings. And that's what we're going to announce today is something about the entries, and we're going to announce some winners this year. Winners get a cash prize, $2,000. First prize, $500 pro-rata prizes. So not totally small potatoes. All right, Gus, why don't you take over? Sure.
So, what's different in this year's Turing test in creative arts? For music track, we wanted to be more interactive. So instead of just let a machine create a piece of music or art, we want a human-computer interaction. We have two tasks. One is Company X, another is Dance X. Both is we give them a human solo, and for a Company X, we give them a score, and for Dance X, we give them a piece of music. And for a Company X, we also give competitors the freedom to choose to use our score, or they can use their program to generate the score. So the input is the human solo, and the output should be a mixture of human-computer duet. So obviously, the task is to generate the accompaniment part or the dance partner part. So this year we are using Amazon EC2 instances. We give all the competitors about, so before the official competition runs, we give them about a week, 10 days to log into the server, have the minutes to install all the dependencies. And we give them 72 hours to process the competition input data. So we give them a week, 10 days to get familiar with the system, but only 3 days. For 3 days, we give them the real data, and they could do the work. So we see it's a very hard task, and we received 4 submissions for the Company X task and 1 submission for Dance X task. And for the Company X task, 3 of the 4 accomplished, so they finish in time, and the Dance finish in time. To evaluate, we, as Mike just said, we use double-blind online survey, and instead of just asking them whether it is a machine or a human, we add some continuous preference scale rating to rate on the musicality, interactivity, and naturalness of the human-computer duet. Okay, so now let's come to some detail. So here's the result for Company X evaluation. So we give them 4 pieces to let them. They can choose either one of them or multiple pieces of them, and all the submissions just choose one. So we have 3 systems, remember. So the text piece number 1, one system choose that. The piece is called Escrow Farewell, and here's the result. So the judges rate the human-computer duet in terms of musicality, interactivity, and naturalness. So on this graph, different colors represent different systems. So the white bar is kind of the baseline, is human, and the black bars represent the submitted system. And they rate on a 1 to 5 scale, and we see that clearly the first system didn't pass the Turing test for both musicality, interactivity, and naturalness. And note that these 2 are so-called preference rating, and this one is naturalness. We should call it the original definition of Turing test. So, but we want to do something more this year. Okay, so for the second piece is the wild piece. We have 2 submitted systems, and again, the white bars are the human, and the green bar and the black bar are submitted systems. So we see that the green bar didn't pass the test. However, the black bar passed the test. So we do both 2 sample t-tests and repeated measurement ANOVA, and through all the tests, the black bar, we cannot tell it from human just based on green. So actually, musicality is marginally slightly better, higher, and we see the naturalness is lower, but not statistically significant. And today we are pleased to announce the winner, which is represented by the black bars, is Christopher Raphael from IUB. He's a professor in informatics. His payment system is called Music Plus One. And
So you know Chris Raphael? Yeah.
so
He's a very accomplished musician as well.
So we will play a little demo of the system. So it's a very short music, and the melody part is performed by a human, and the accompaniment is generated by the system. So if we're really critical, we still feel that between sometimes it's still a little not very smooth, but generally it's very good.
In what form do you give it the music?
Very good question. So we give them both the audio and MIDI. And Chris Raphael's system deal with audio input, and others deal with MIDI.
Yes, can you clarify what the original score was?
The original score is in MIDI.
No, but what? So just the melody by voice?
The score is with both melody and accompaniment. And the systems, all the competitors could choose to either use the score or they can compose the score. But all the system end up being using our score.
So you're generating an expressive performance of a given accompaniment.
Oh,
Given-
I thought you were generating the accompaniment.
Well, people have the choice to do that, but of course you make your life on it. You give them the score. So most people chose to do the task as generate the expressive version of the accompaniment in a convincing way, given the human performance of the lead.
So you mean that the score is MIDI, but it's automotive?
Yes.
Yes.
MIDI, is that what you're saying?
It's non-expressive.
Not expressive, just flat.
It's flat.
And if you heard in that accompaniment that it was quite expressive.
So yes, it did the interpretation task. Yes, the conditions work. And I understand that the competitors do get, oh I see, they do get the okay. And so the two questions, which human are they compared to is basically a question, because some human would be better than others.
Yes.
And the other question is, what do you mean by interactivity?
Oh, interactive is how close is the interaction between the two parts.
Okay. But here you're dealing with the interpretation of both parts, no?
Yeah, we reach on the duet. Yes. The reading is on the duet is on the interactivity. It's how close the interaction between the two parts. It's not only on the. Yeah, it's not only on the.
The human lead is given. Right? You have to use the human lead.
And for all the three entries,
And the human need is an
The same.
interpretation.
It's an interpretation. So you have to follow that interpretation and create it.
And the human lead is audio, and then you have the score in MIDI that is not expressive at all, and you have the lead that is expressive.
That's correct.
And 72 hours before, you get the score. And then when you send it in, the melody played by the human is fed into the system at that moment. They've
Yeah.
never,
They've never seen it before. So the 72-hour is
for them to
where they
process.
get the competition data.
Yeah.
The system, yeah. There's a validation process that we do as well. It's just, it has to be causal, right?
Yes.
So we test for causality,
Yeah.
and we test, well, what else do we test? Well, wholeness of the output, we
Yes,
test multiple inputs, different outputs.
We want to make sure it could handle different interpretation of the same piece, and we want to make sure it is an online causal program. It means it doesn't look ahead to the future to decide the current. No.
What was the what's the musical training of the participants in the study?
You mean how to train the system, or their?
No,
No, the internet survey takers. We asked for their,
Yes.
we actually have, can you show the survey online?
Yeah, we asked the music background whether from 1 to 5, either elementary, intermediate, or professional, and we actually test across different backgrounds. There's no difference significant.
There's no difference between
There's
musical
no
and non-musical.
Yeah, that's for example, is a result that was, I mean, we publish results like that experts are not better at those Turing tests. But if you add that the reason why they decide whether it's human or computer, then they're a lot better at giving lengthy explanations. So they're wrong as the others, but they have a lot more reason why to think what they think.
Do you want to show the dance? Real quick, I think we've got to finish.
Yeah.
So can I ask a really quick question about this rating? So human ratings alone, so they look like to me.
Yes, this one.
Is that
Yes.
something the piece, the choice of piece would significantly affect, or would you maybe choose a piece that might show off human performance capability better? Or I mean, but then you wouldn't have one, I guess. So
Yeah, so it was like a rap man on piano and shit.
I don't know. Or, yeah, or some, yeah.
So this is an extremely difficult specific task that most pianists could not do this because it's not a pianistic, it's an accompaniment task. And pianists have to learn to become accompanist.
Sort of a collaborative piano task. I mean, you can imagine having an opera singer lead and then
Yes.
having to play.
That's very, very specific. That's probably why that's low ratings that we're giving all of this. It's a difficult human task.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, I also understand that. Cool.
And then the question is, does the human accomplish the exact same task, or because you can give a human the audio of a lead and yet they only the accompaniment, or does the human actually play the piece expressively and then?
Oh, that's a really good question. Actually, that the human actually complete the piece.
Yeah, the complete piece, not just the accompaniment.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's in real time. So actually, this is a really hard task. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a little bit unfair for
Yeah.
the machine.
Yeah.
Please.
How many people participated in the evaluation?
60. We get 60 responses.
60 complete responses, or 90 who
90.
didn't quite make it all the way through.
Yeah. Probably they do it on the phone and say, oh, I'm not cannot listen to that terribly on the phone, so they give up and go back home and do it again.
And they evaluated each different system as well. So it's the same human evaluating all systems.
Yes. Every subject have evaluated all the systems. Okay. I think we're going to show the downs. So only we're glad we're going to we received one submission for the down text, and here is.
Kinda change out of control. She's a diva, she knows why the club goes wild. She's an animal. She's a lady, I wanna know. Kinda change out of control. She's a diva, she knows why the club goes wild. She's an animal.
Okay. So which one do you think is human? So the white is human, raise your hand. Yellow is human, raise your hand. Yeah, okay, thank you. I think we get about the same ratio, I mean, in our survey. So we let again, we let them rate on how much confident you are in this is a human. And the human one the real human get higher score, and the machine get lower score. So 0 is for certain it is a machine, and 100 is for sure it is a human. And the right answer is the white one is human. So for this one, we also did the preference. The preference rating. But since we don't have multiple submitted systems, there's no meaning to compare. So this is the Turing test. Well, by looking at this, so we have two interesting discoveries. First is we are not so sure a real human is a real human. The second one is if you look at individual rating, the machine sometimes get the response that, oh, it is definitely the machine. But human almost never got a rating that it is definitely a human. So that's two interesting discoveries. Thank you very much. And that's the 2017 Turing test in a 3 hours unit term.
Yeah. The one comment is that actually our system, deep learning system, does exactly the generation of this called GroupNet. But the description online of the task made us think that we could not complete because it felt like it needed to be a duo in the sense of a dance with a partner. And that task, in general, that task of generating motion capture of dance for music is extremely complicated for a start because it's a multimodal task. And dance is like music, but it's with a level of parallelism, like a degree of polyphony, but it's very higher, more degrees of freedom. But so I would reckon that you should have more precise description of the task and maybe have a couple of examples that you accumulate then, so that people really get to see what they're fighting for. I think it will increase the number of applicants quite significantly.
Yes.
And that was certainly an issue. And last year we had a very detailed specification. And actually you could download a kind of complete skeleton, right, which had data in there and everything. You couldn't run something. But I think that's probably what we're saying is to get to the point where you can kind of run a whole system, example system, kind of toy, store man version.
But speaking of that, we did release some sample data about 10 days before we run the competition. So about the time they could log in and have access to their virtual machines. So yeah, both for accounting that and down that they could have the sample data. But yeah, the sample data is not in the form of video, just motion vectors. TXT files.
But here the duo is in the sense of dancing next to each other, which is very different from
Actual partner.
dancing together, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't get that in my group.
That's really good feedback. So thinking about yesterday's discussion about evaluation, I think this is going to be key is how you describe the task, right? It's quite complicated. A lot of stuff.
That's right. Robert?
It seems a little bit wrong to call this a Turing test because Turing's test was a dialogue between a person and a machine, and this is absent. The dialogue aspect is totally absent.
Right, it's a one-way.
So I think the problem is that the public gets hold of, oh, this is the Turing test. It's been passed. Well, it is. It hasn't. It hasn't been passed.
Well, there's an element of, so the director of the Neukom Institute is very keen on reaching, he wanted to actually, connect to the history of the Turing test, but to kind of see if something could be done that was similar in the creative domain. And now we've run last year and this year different tasks. And some of the tasks are closer to a Turing test, but most of them are really just generate something, give some input, but they're not a dialogue in a sense.
So understandable. I mean, discrimination test, it's easy to call them Turing tests. So it's a bit like chicken wings where there's no chicken, or chicken nuggets, something like that. So it's a marketing thing more than
But I mean, I think think we owe the public not to mislead them, that when we say that the Turing test has been passed,
Agree.
it hasn't.
I agree. And by the way, the actual Turing test has been passed by chatbots. At least they can read that.
Yeah.
This is very
In a
important.
similar.
Maybe for interactive performance, a more kind of canonical way to do the Turing test is let the performer guess whether he's performing in real time with a machine or a human. But a real time interactive performance system is still very hard.
We did that in live operations. Brought in
Yeah.
all these
So what-
exercises and they gave a qualitative assessment of their performance with one of 7 systems.
Yeah, I think I mean, Bob's complaint is right in broader sense, but the fact that you've got this thing where you get them to send you the software and you feed it something, makes it very different from the situation where they just send you the outputs for the systems. And that's a step towards there being, I mean, it's a very, very small dialogue, but it's a well-constrained one, which is sensible. So I think the case for that. Chris Ariza's Azira's paper, which talks about that. I don't know if they're his terms, but he's got, I think they must be his terms. He talks about toy Turing tests, distinguished to help clarify that issue. Yeah. That they are like Turing tests, but they're definitely not the correct Turing form. And then he's got a MOTT, so probably M stands for, but the O is for alpha, so it's an alpha only Turing test. Alpha only toy Turing test.
Right.
And some kind of another category that he has discrimination.
Right.
Toy Turing test. Yeah. So that's quite good terminology actually.
Yeah. So they're
helping us frame that.
Yeah, well, we should think about that in the broader discussion of whether we run evaluations in this forum and in the future. It would be useful to commit to that.
Is there another?
I have just a really quick question before we I was just wondering in the submission guides in the past couple of years, that if you had 4 for a competition, what would the numbers the other years? Would the numbers remain the same?
Oh no, we got quite a few more in the music competition last year. I beat Bushes quite hard people to submit, and also I think the kind of music, because it was sort of a lot of IDM people or DJ type people that are kind of able to cobble something together and submit it. I think this task is qualitatively harder, actually. So we got fewer entries. Yeah. Last year we had, I think, 20 submissions, 16 of which were well formed. We had an initial screening with a subset of, with a small group of people, seeing how they were doing, and then put the remaining 8 systems on the dance floor.
And actually, we use also as part of main base tool this year. And actually send out personal invitations to different music groups we know.
All right, so now we have quite a bit of time, about 45 minutes, I guess, before the 30 minutes actually, before the coffee break. And so the idea is to have an informal demonstration session where we can break down to small groups in different parts of the room and chat. I know that Leah wants to demo the system. I have a system to demo as well as my machine. Who wants to demo the system? You have a raise of hand. Robert has one, Andrew has one, Arnie has one. There's one over there. So that's plenty. So let's just
If I read, did everyone just line up on the
yeah, we're spread up. We're good.
We'll just wander around people's.
Exactly. What we can do is those who do not demo anything, I just maybe close the computer. That's why we don't get to come and check your emails for you.
I think that's a pretty good idea. Yeah, we'll share some.
Yeah, yeah, so you can get that.
Everyone give it a second.
No, it involves me, sort of excited about how I'm gonna do this. I'm not in this situation.
Yeah, that's what we should go.
Yeah, yes, yes, looking in the edge. It's unknown. Yeah, it's I mean, I think it's some sort of. That they, although that model is now certified to the which is also.
Unfortunately, this is pretty much this whole series of words.
Oh, yeah.
This was really.
Yeah, it's, so the one that I'm having one built, those are.
So this is the sequence of you were talking about the basics. I think what I can do, actually, is just go through the demonstration first to get the order and some sort of it. So,
It's a big pain, so I'm making it.
and
that
this is complex. It's very small, very short. And the idea is to should be easy to interact.
Yeah, that's gonna, that's.
So,
This help file.
basically, along the bottom there is the steps.
Let's go.
So,
Yeah.
it's gonna pass the focus on just meaning
So the idea is.
virtual language carried over things.
Not make it really unique.
No, it's okay.
Well, explode. It would just be like, it would just like big extension of I'm gonna try this. Just with that one. I'm translating. So those are kind of.
No,
do that for one. Do that for many. So
yeah,
just from one tune. So you just have to our team machine.
I don't use, no, I'm using
No, I mean, the
one that
system
I.
would be, you could like segments.
you recognize things.
However, we can do right now, all these crazy outputs. Oh, wait, no, hold on.
Is
Right now, I go to
Yeah, this,
It doesn't mean
This is using the same it's a separate file from the one that does the straight. These queries actually yeah, no, it was very specific. This is all just whatever structure is in. But yeah, no. Yours, you were talking about.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
The they were introduced and created by you?
They're learned.
They're learned.
Grammar learned.
Okay.
We have transcription. We have another so all this portion of
Now I need to turn it down.
It's a good.
Okay.
This migrated so that could actually write it out.
So with this system,
So you could, instead of
pointing to it, but it worked out.
you could write everything out of text.
It's just how
With that. You say something.
pretty much.
actually just a live transcription.
Well, we use music for visualization.
Then the grammar inference, I mean, that's not a trivial problem because you want to make sure that the rules you find are not trivial rules. That kind of, you know, obviously you've been working on reality. What's the name of this? So you think of it as a learning tool?
Yeah, it's an educational tool. It's not primarily. If I would get to find a certain metric that I showed you. Yeah, I just transcribe from yes, this is 5.
And you felt like how on a good run,
yeah,
you know, kind of sound like
the thing that's missing, of course, is we're not playing timbre or the affect because the numbers have to say fair.
File or from a particular you learn from it? Styles.
And that's the generate all that. So what it does is, if there's a sequence, right, so there yeah, right, which I think actually sounds really cool. So it gets really so what I did three lines of code in internal that basically allow you to do all calculation on bang it. Hey, stick it and then you bang it. You're responsible for
Artist, exactly. That's
it'll navigate all of those factors that I have in and you know that's basically probably valued more particular so the idea is that the output is you can get the state any and it's easy to transition current state. So anyway, you can that are in this, you can feel it. So the demo I it shows basically
And some of the things that it does is when you know something.
Yeah, and that actually sounds a lot better than the stuff. It's really more. So I was like, all right, I want to write down. They're trying to get it right on the I do want to do it right.
So every time you
You want to do something.
this player has outside player.
Yeah, it's not just
No,
I haven't done, yeah, I don't worry. Yeah, it's pretty much
create the abstract melody, which is durations that how they with these categories instead of and also captures the so with those elements, that's what are used to build graphs. These a number of the representatives of that particular thing. Then we go back to the original melody and look at where those
I can guess if you don't.
Dimensional metric. Right. And then we take
when you're playing back, put it back out. So we're hearing,
so the abstract melody is instantiated by taking, like if I say chord count, it will pick certain keys that was not necessarily original. So it actually gets nuanced by that.
common way to describe.
No, that's our invention.
The full tone.
Okay, thanks for
Oh, sorry. So did you did all that? No, I didn't. You did all the then you also did
So then I was trying to take that.
Okay, I didn't catch that. I'm sure that. Yeah.
I switched to yes because you guys are
It's just a strategy to do that. The job yeah, but I think that's a yeah, I mean, I thought about doing something.
You can definitely muscle it. I find that you can train it.
Oh, it's listening. But just, so I feel like yeah, so it's I'm trying to get basically without I used to use all these. Yeah, there was and this
If I want to create it looks like it's very obviously we don't have like visual feedback a little bit hard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I do start filtering in max to, so then it's not expanding all of itself. Yeah, it's really
Everyone, it's time for the coffee break, but you be free to go back and forth and back.
Scott Barker. Nice to meet you. So, what have you got there? Cash?
Nice. Check out some of your people.
Yeah, I'm still not worried about this.
Everything up to the audio. I haven't decided. I think I'm more decided how to work audio.
I was just wondering about how, yeah, in that world, like trigger samples.
So like typically, it's like and like correlate direct actions style. They improve like having synthesized some of that in there kind of working. Hypothetically, obviously it's like it's quite messy. So pretty much, yeah. So we've got one. Yeah. So more or less, they're
So what is, in terms of the applications, so in terms of Lego, how is it used
I wrote a creative
Yeah. So I've been class. I use
yeah.
But sometimes
Yeah. And what are ways that people are using it? I mean, I imagine you can do different
So
things.
we can also train it. That's one of the things we're trying to do now is have it be a companion vehicle where you can learn to do it. So you can have it improvise for you, but then you can also
sorry, so this isn't using visual features. So this is so it's annotated. So
So all right, so yeah.
yeah, I just got to presume. Yeah.
Or actually, I think I'll just. I'm not, you know, landscapes are
like this was, that's why I was kind of working with someone who's going to jump up.
Yeah, I understand.
So, yes, we got the message. So this game, they just cross-stage. So we'll kind of look at this.
Well, I think Luke is going to touch it. Not like simultaneously with the user action that's really you got the music you have to actually anticipate that action in order to make it sync properly.
Yeah, that's where clearly they kind of do with this look at the game because they do at least like everything is kind of like systems to an idea. So like hypothetically the little bits on our more complicated that you're but I guess in the future maybe come back to what if the place like building something or like I remember there's going to be some application machine learning analyzing by using working out what they're actually doing in the game.
To something ridiculous.
Younger generation, target or gamify it.
So
Have this in the background. We have that scrolling up, or maybe it goes up because they're actually playing it.
So that was kind of wild.
Yeah, but they you know, so with the target, and it's go down and you play them to get to the bar at the bottom. But I can imagine play, they can go up, and if you get them wrong, then they show up wrong as they float away from you. And then even just survivors, they have all the package. Yeah, what actually strikes me though, this is a nice way of connecting people to notation.
That's why I put it
For the next kind of phrase, that's what they're making. See
Oh, well, no, I mean, spatial, by now.
I guess to be honest, there was like so much of like the directions. The organization was trying to catch up. Try and keep that. Yeah, otherwise I'm just like, so this is kind of how
is that something that's unthinkable for novices or who don't need such precision?
So that way we at least kind of signal that actually has to change rather than like hard change.
Right.
And then because we have the whole space, it's the next point. Regardless of how it's being set up. A little bit of compromise. But it also goes with some voice leading works.
I can do that, but I'm still we can establish this difficulty because we care so much.
No, yeah, because I'm going to do.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Like demo?
Yeah, sure.
This one, what do you think?
Yeah, it's really kind of exactly like
That was a genuine experience.
I've actually seen a system like that. And also,
I've done verification. Like I've done a little bit of
I'm using Java. So it's just like and I made all my
yeah. Well, I was looking like halfway through. I mean, look.
I don't do any input anymore. I just in a very small department.
Even though it didn't previously, it's not as great.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I did.
It's a pivot here. Like I think they that's enough for
This one was not.
like this, you guys are should just be out.
And also, yeah, sure, like for example, I don't have that project, so it's kind of like, oh, okay, so and I like to like,
So what's going on?
Situation Yeah, I didn't want. I know. I thought
But so are all samples.
Incline for me, yeah, that's all the things that I want
And there's no, there's no transition or
But it's kind of like in a, like, it's kind of like in my experience, like,
right, so I think different kinds of
I just played it, I didn't I mean, I use the other libraries. I don't have to do that.
So are you guys, do you have these systems?
I thought I had a general, so I have but, well, I would too, right? My wording kind of exactly the same. You could,
oh, yeah. Are you doing everything in that?
Well, yeah. Is it things going on? This code,
You need to actually make sure you
oh, cool, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's one, so it's got all the extra stuff. And then, there's a few
Yeah, no, actually on the recording.
I very much.
Yeah, it's, you know what's really funny? I do like this. And I went there. I tried the regulator. What type of other colors specific to I know, oh my word, and but you have like a any other region. Really? Yeah, well, I'm curious. I'm running a little forward, and basically anything that has the like types, except for
The thing is, you're missing the structure. So anything where you simplify it.
So I'm dealing with and then
so you're taking samples from every
no, yeah, but
I had to, I know, at one point years ago.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah.
I check one of
yeah, yeah.
Part of the max schedule.
Yes, so I guess that was, you close to
Yeah, that's
which property? No, I don't know, because you that was really interesting because they have a big structure. Yeah.
And how are you choosing the second
It's all about it.
the one I have is of course fine, but I mean honestly.
Yeah, and you can see like triangle.
Well, there are some reasons, but I understand.
Yeah, you know,
That's the thing. Listen now, if I can enjoy. Not that I support
we're going to ask them this question too. I think it's really great.
It would be wonderful if I could just have this be I have to come up with another type of whether or not I know it. I have to go down. Yeah, I just want to
We will want to what kind of a meeting you had.
But because then what you have is that it doesn't matter actually. You have to logic. I find this happen much more. Yeah, much more. I don't I saw the last one. Timeline that I have. Yeah, I have to do exactly but I'm using in politics. What I do is I create social media and put a little text. Usually I'll see what
I find it good. The other good thing, I think, is the way that I just described, you're not forced to use it. You see here, you can make this as long as you want to.
We start in 1 minute, right?
It doesn't have to be non-linear. You're invited to propose linearly, you're invited to propose non-linearly, wherever you do that. So I think that's one of yes, you can definitely do hierarchy. Let me show you. So this one is working as this one. First of all, here I will explain none of yours like Catherine along there, the first is along there. Let's reverse. So I can do this. I have no idea what that's not the point is, again, it's a toggle. You want to be able to use those toggles. And then I have one this, okay, we'll just move on. So these store simple passwords, which are then so you just get the same this one, this goes to the question about files.
Oh, okay, I'll grab that right now.
It's gonna go this way. So, not demonstrated here, but you can build these any number of linear selectors. So you can have, this is like ABC, or you can have ABC, ABD, ABC, ABD. So you can have another. So it lets you design structure, physical. And then also not demonstrated, but you can then interact, you can then change that structure just by opening the first problem. So that means that you can design a structure the same way you design out say, that I believe the second you have tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know what other systems design and compose a structure the same way. I'm not sure. So there's one primary generation. I mentioned that there's a command line. Here's an example. So this command executes. Right click on this toggle. Sorry? You can interfere with it. What does it can interfere with itself? So if I connect that there, then every time I don't know why I've got the time. I don't know why it's not. Every time that toggle fires, that one.
Hi everyone. Thank you. We're missing a couple. At least one of our artists went home yesterday, and maybe another one did.
and this morning. I'm not sure where mine is, but I just could it's good to come up and tell us all about opera ethics. So what we're going to do is we're going to go very quickly through everybody, just give a brief overview of what they did. Maybe just keep it really nice and tight, and then we can open it up for more questions. If you can do that really in the context of what we actually saw last night, and any comments on anything that happened that was worth discussion, then let us know. Also, I need to mention this was left here at some point yesterday, I think. Anyone wants to claim? Was it plugged in? We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, if you don't have the annotation, for your computer, then probably yours.
Yeah, I mean, it's not very unique. It's quite a few that you miss one.
And you will find out because your computer will start working.
Yeah. But I really just put you on the spot there. If you want to give any explanation what happens
I can give from a technical, not from a singing point of view. So one of the songs was, like all the songs were generated by Alicia. So I believe that the first one was made by, the arrangement was made by other people. By the arrangement, I mean the accompaniment, but the melody was made by Alicia. The second song was a combination, I believe, with Alicia and Mabel. So Mabel is the lyric generator, and Alicia as well is the song generator. And the third one was made by the Italian version of Alicia, which is Roccini, who's a strain Italian opera. And one of the composer, one of the colleagues of Maya's, they worked on it and turned it into a World of Warcraft, sort of opera, where if you remember the theme where she was taking apparently a taxi ride, more like a dragon ride, throughout the World of Warcraft scene. So that's pretty much the high level overview. I can't really comment on the singing because I'm on the voice.
Yeah. So I performed a pop composition that the system we designed proposed. It's a system we call pop star, with an asterisk, like a star. And then it's a modular system where the rhythm and the melody and the harmony are all designed by independent modules with some interdependence between them. And then the lyric module was actually built by another student, and that's called Lyrist. So the computer did the composing, and the result is a lead sheet. And at that point, I, as the performer, took the lead sheet and arranged it.
My work was with Fairness, and it involved a series of use bots that one person generates a structure, and some audio bots were supposed to react to that structure and play, and the live performer was input was analyzed and treated as one of the other bots, and the bots would react to his input in a kind of slow fashion, so it wasn't immediate reactive, and so it influenced their future decisions. All these ones.
So my work was with the viola and tape, and I just created a little slideshow to give context of the piece. The system we use is a long short-term memory unit network. Deep learning is applied to these transcriptions of Irish literature, and it's all open source. Have fun. The training data is there. The training systems are in there. And folk are in it. And the real metal of these systems is its use in composition and its use in music listening. So with this system, we've composed over 23 works. We've released 3,000 transcriptions in staff application. Fiddle tunes. We have the endless traditional music section, which has now 47,000 generated tunes, which you can listen to. And we had a concert a few weeks ago featuring music that's co-composed with our system, and this was not tape and instruments, but all instrumentalists were playing, and all the works in red are pieces that were generated using our system. We've got a YouTube channel called The Bottomless Tune Box, and you can hear some of the pieces from the concert there as well as several. We're getting some nice media attention to this project. Unfortunately, not all the media is great. The Daily Mail has renamed our system Bot Villain, which gave people lots of wrong impressions of what our system does. It also linked to a video and was asking the people, can you do this in computer generated? And the comments in there say, oh, it's very cold and lifeless. And it's just what I expected a computer to compose. But the video that they edited, they removed everything that was computer generated, and you just have human composed Irish tune. So people were commenting on real music.
What else do you expect from the Daily Mail?
Yes, well, the Daily Mail. I've got videos of myself playing some of these tunes as well. And it's great to get some likes, but I also have to suffer the dislikes from time to time. And then we have a lot of these things on the sound files as well in experiment. And there is the newest version here where you can call a number in Ohio, and this company is using our folk generated music as their hold music. So call today.
And question is, this is monophonic, right?
Yes, a lot of the transcriptions are on a single melody line, but in 5 time.
There's still room for polyphonic implementation.
In the style, there's very little listening that's actually on.
So I did an improvisation with music robots that I built with my colleagues, and the idea was that these machines are we're listening to the input. The instrument I was playing is called Cider, which is a human type of robotic fiddle. So I have control of the instrument, but so does the machine. There's solenoid actuators and dampers. So my input was being interpreted by the system, and it was making choices and imitating and coming up with novel ideas. And
So the piece that I did last night uses Factor Oracle. Do you remember Cheng's presentation? I have a Factor Oracle external called Factor Oracle. If you wanted the code, email me. Imagine Shlomo and Cheng's VMO Factor Oracle minus the cool VMO stuff. And replace that with some heuristics that avoid aesthetically unpleasant things like loops and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'm playing and I'm capturing a bunch of essentially symbolic music data. I'm quantizing that. It's encoded into a matrix. Those matrix numbers are fed into the oracle. And the oracle periodically generates music, spits out, or generates numbers that decode it from the matrix, and they're spit out in the form of MIDI notes that drive physical modeling synthesizers. Specifically, I had a physical modeling synthesizer as a waveguide string model that was run through some amp and cabinet simulators to sort of sound like an electric guitar. And I don't know if you noticed at the end, I was sort of dueling with that artificial guitar. I guess one other layer of the piece that's noteworthy is from a compositional perspective. I like to give up a lot of macro control, so it wasn't like the system was constantly playing, just doing its thing and responding to me. I press a foot pedal to turn it on and turn it off, and to select the output synthesizers.
Hello, everybody. We play this apart and say 3 entities, me, Flip, and Mason. And we just had like a 7-minute structured improvisation in the sense that we were playing with the agent, but we forced the agent to play particular samples so that the improvisation was structured in a way that there was a beginning one sample, there was an end with one sample, and we had like 2 different samples in the middle, so that the old performer would know where we are going. But we can, other than that, new conversation. And I will enjoy it.
I have very little to add. Just to say that the agent is just in beta version. Given she's in second year and there's a lot to do, and the goal eventually is really to have these agents listen to music and are able to emulate well-known composers. So we have David Tudor, we have Parmigiani, that requires a good sound system and some spatialization. And then it's nice to play with the agents in rehearsal. You feel like playing with David Tudor doing Rainforest live with you, and it's just really satisfying. And the overall goal is eventually to have, and we're preparing for that, an agent that listens to more music than a human can, and is dealing with millions, if not dozens of millions of samples, which a normal provider of state will never be able to do.
Great. Thanks everybody. So basically we can just open this straight up for questions, and if we don't have any questions, I'll throw some general ones. Does anyone have specific questions? Yeah.
I have a vicious question, Bob, first that I think applies to pretty much everybody. I was wondering, so during the concert, I was thinking, how important is it that the piece be framed as either being composed in some way by a computer or a generative system, or that the audience know that they're there, that the generative system is somehow involved in the piece. And in particular, I think Bob's piece, because we have a tradition of composers pre-digital age using various say generative systems, throwing dice or what have you, to sort of stimulate their creativity and use that within their piece. But then in the end, they just play it on the concert and say, this is sweet or whatever. So for your piece, how do you deal with that? And I assume you've done many pieces in this sort of fashion. Yeah.
A long time ago, I was doing sonification research and trying to compose music with scientific data sonified. And one of the mistakes I made was becoming a slave to the phenomena that the data represents. So I was creating pieces that it was full of wonder for me because the data was incredible and informative. But for other people, for the general listener, it was rather boring. And I was, looking at my own piece through rose-colored glasses. I learned the lesson that to create nice music, it has to stand on its own. And that's something I've carried through in this project, where the system that's used is merely generating material from which I can curate, or I can be motivated and inspired and get started much faster and move in directions I hadn't even considered before. So from the listener's perspective, I want the piece to stand on its own, but it provides some interesting reflection or opportunity to reflect on the contribution of a collaborative partner that's not living.
I think that's actually really interesting. I think the answer varies for me. I think the happier I am with the music, the story around it, the less inclined I am to understand the fact that it's compression computer made. Like my last piece, the one that had the World of Warcraft theme, I think, and I might have an opinion, but I think it stands on its own quite well. And without, that part. Or another one that we like, the fact that they're computer generated, is a big part of the
This question sort of raises the question of the bias against computational creativity, whether there is a bias, and if there is a bias, is it an explicit bias? You ask people to think computers can be creative or an implicit bias, where they would deny that they would pay a computer to be creative, but in fact they do hate it. Independently, assuming that the quality is equal, and the 3 studies so far that have been made on that is Kelly, Moffat and Kelly, 2006, Dan Ventura last year or 2 years ago, and my group 2 years ago, and we all reached different conclusions. So this is clearly a need for more research. It's also a moving target, and I think one of the things that has not been done in that area is to discriminate groups of people that are tech savvy versus people that are not tech savvy. Because here in this table, we all use computers for creative tasks, but we're not dupe about it, and we're not scared of it, and we sort of know how done and practical and limited computers are. So we also understand the area of meta-creativity, and that behind any computer and algorithm, there's a human programming it. And there's just a bit of an indirectness between the human and the work, but the autonomy of the computer is extremely limited in any case, right? So that's the whole reflection that it triggers. And telling it to people risks triggering that bias. Not telling it is not very sincere as well, but if you tell it to people, it also has a bit of an announcement effect, right? And then you end up with positive or negative, sort of press coverage and things like that of a concept that otherwise probably they talked about. So that's not really the term necessarily.
So that also probably depends on the musical context, though. So for making poetics explicit to an audience, in the context of improvisation, part of it is about interaction between the agents and the improvisation. So to help people understand that interaction, then disclosure of what's going on could be useful. Which is not to say that the music, just like with robotics, sometimes there's only audio versions. Should that be without the visual element? Should that, is that still, what kind of performance is that? So I think that depends. I think in the case for Bob's piece, maybe those that kind of disclosure has separate ramifications given the kind of work that it is.
But is it insincere to not tell an audience attending Don Giovanni that the overture was composed tonight? Right? It sort of adds to the, it's not going to be as good because it was only composed in 24 hours. But it's a part of the story that makes the music alive in a new way. So I don't think it hurts to have the idea that it's somehow computer at the end.
Or about quotation. Someone listened, if there's a borrowed folk melody, bar talk. How does that influence your expectation of these?
So just want to throw into that the idea that actually things are very fast moving in this area, including public perception. And I mean, just a thought about the studies you mentioned, is that the Moffat and Kelly is 10 years old. And just by comparison to like how we view a laptop before. And when I first did that 20 years ago, it was really weird. People thought you'd get your email, all of that stuff. And now it's really normal. That's in 20 years. And that paper is 10 years old, so it's pretty hard to test, to compare results actually over that period of time. I think probably there's a huge amount of media noise about intelligent machines.
Yeah, the level of technophilia and technophobia of people really varied. It's generational, it's about the education, and it's cultural, it's also things. What's interesting is anecdotally, in terms of anecdotes, what Bob just narrated, which is really interesting, of people being told that it's computer generated when it was not what they're actually looking at, and then being hatred about it, sounds very similar to the style of anecdote that Neukom was narrating already like 15 years ago about the reception, where he couldn't even find musicians to play some of his work apparently, and that's what he described. People were very, very shocked. While talking about discrimination test, most of the composition he was coming forward with us. Discrimination is easy.
There's an allegorical anecdote to that. This is also David Cope. And I got to preface this by saying I don't know if this is 100% true because I've heard it through a couple of intermediary sources. But even if it's not true, it's a good story. So apparently Cope went to a musicological conference with some music. I think it was, he called it Haydn. And he said, oh, this new piece we discovered this new piece by Haydn. String quartet played it, all the musicologists were fantastic. And then he's like, oh, it's written by a computer. And everybody was very upset about this. But it's, sort of the Daily Mail thing, only the Daily Mail thing was an accident and this is an intentional lie. So maybe it's worth it to lie to your audience. Tell them, hey, this is my composition or whatever. Maybe it's not so necessary. Personally, I view computer and artificial intelligence techniques as a sort of creative prosthesis. Humans are pretty creative
maybe limits that are transcendable, but they're a little bit more easily transcendable when we augment ourselves with tools like this stuff, with all the techniques that we've been talking about in this conference. And I guess a lot of people have been using the word curatorial, which to me is a phrase that means the human who's programmed the system intercedes at various points to make creative judgments and omit things or highlight things that are of interest. And in my opinion, I wouldn't want to impose my opinion on anyone else, but in my practice, I'm pretty curatorial about what I'm doing. And I insert myself into the process a lot, but I also lean on the AI a lot to help me imagine things that maybe wouldn't come to this group.
So, on the other hand, there are two opposite effects in the world. People still discriminate against music. From the other hand, there's people so, where do you feel around the spectrum? How do you feel as the leads? Or just both?
I think there's a certain group of people that are going to be drawn to it, and very accepting of that. I think the context is extremely important because, like what Bob was saying, as soon as you open up, if it was just the folk melodies, I imagine the performers of folk music would be extremely critical of that, but the general audience would say, hey, this is cool. And by saying, Bob Dylan, that almost everybody was invested with that, so that just draws this traffic. But when you put a performer on stage, an improvising performer on stage with an AI, I think the audience is going to be extremely accepting. I couldn't imagine anybody saying, ooh, I didn't like that because the AI wasn't great. So I don't know, has anybody ever said that?
Never experienced that. I've never experienced somebody saying, oh, well, that would have been a lot better if you just got rid of all that AI stuff. Yeah.
So for me, I find that how you present it, if you have a human on stage, that makes one of the different things about, we were talking about this. If you just have robots on stage performing or just have a generative system, people become hyper because they think you're replacing humans, and that's what they're really scared about.
But sure, answer, who has been encountering someone really angry at the idea that the revolutionary music?
We did a somehow we found ourselves we set our musical robots up at the Choral Association conference, which was an incredible sociological experiment. And so there were some not comfortable. And as one of my colleagues put it, there's some people who are not comfortable with the idea of like a piano as a machine, and there's something about embodiment, about the voice being for example, so that was interesting.
How was the punch in the face by our music producer? And we're talking as someone who literally only uses machines to make their own music. They just feel that automating the moving of things is just so wrong.
But then there is the opposite. Sometimes people get so fascinated with other kinds. I feel like some of it keeps the phone line going wrong. Another ones, I feel like they're made from. It depends on it seems to depend on how I present it. If I show the score to a musician, all I get is criticism from most of it. But in a performance situation, it's fascinating.
It's also interesting that a computer, in the end, like a computer didn't really make it, right? A human made some code that made it, and it's, we're not out of the creative loop. We're still in there. And I think pointing that out to people helps sometimes, or would help.
And that's something really important because there are people who are called ecosystem art. There are people that are really developing systems that have a level of autonomy when the system evolves its own aesthetic. And then systematically what has been found is that, well, it's great, but this aesthetic very quickly doesn't talk to any human, and everyone agrees this is great.
So, you're very right in saying that we make code that makes music for you. So there's an anthropomorphic instrumentalism. Humans are always making tools to use by humans for their own goals. Whether it's a musical instrument that make tones that we find interesting. But if you really make the system being artificial, including in its aesthetic values, then artificial aesthetic values are of no use to humans because at the end with the listener is going to be a human, or it's a totally different type of work. Like Steve evolution of language by robots for robots, and then very quickly you have no idea what those guys are talking about. That's not the point. He's doing something else. Same with the ecosystem with art. Very often something will emerge and it's great from within the system, but if you look at the system, it's usually very complex and has no aesthetic appeal to usual humans.
I have an anecdote about whether machine aesthetic emerges or it's just bad coding. I had a performance at 9, Andrew was here last summer, for 2 disc looker pianos and my Muse bots. And it was an amazing experience. First of all, to have 2 disc lookers available and have an international community. And the Muse bots were supposed to listen to each other, and then they decided that they kind of evolved to a state of playing extremely quietly, where they just the keys down. You could see the keys move, and they just silence. So for 10 minutes, that's all you saw, the keys going up and down. And for me, it was they could do that. It was a possibility, but why they chose to do that at that particular point. And I stood at the side with my head in my hands, and I could have stopped it and restarted it, but I thought, no, they decided to do it. This is their aesthetic. Somebody said it was an awkward success.
They discovered conceptual art.
Yeah.
So you could say at least it wasn't
the key word of the system did not crash.
Good question.
Yeah, this is sort of, I think, following up from Philippe's point. It strikes me that creativity is not the only significant metric by which we judge music. In fact, a lot of my personal favorite music, I would say, isn't very creative at all, interesting, or at least is very generic, you could say. So, I mean, I'm imagining somebody saying, sure, this music is creative, but is it inspired, we could say. So, I mean, the question is there such a thing as computational inspiration?
That's a tough question. That's almost like saying, okay, what's intelligence, right? It's almost like saying, asking that question. I think my way of looking at it is these things that we're writing are not intelligent at all. They're not really, they don't really have what we would, I think, call intelligence. And I'm skipping defining intelligence.
Sure.
Because I don't think I can. I think the inspirational component still lies with the human. Can you write something that's unintentionally inspiring? Can you create something that's computational, generative, that is inspiring despite what you do? I think that can happen too, but it all involves the intercession or that sort of curatorial relationship with the human programmer or listener.
In my case, I would say that I see in computer-assisted composition, as well as with Mason, but with other systems, for me, it's way more aspirational than it is creative. I'm yet to see a machine that is musically creative, but often I've been inspired because it's just a generate and then generate and accurate, and so it generates crap most of the time. But sometimes it's sort of okay, and that's something you would not have done. So you can get inspired by it, be like, oh, okay, I can work with that. And then it sort of gives you, I think Maya might have to comment on that as well, because you're saying, I will not compose those stuff, but when the machine does it for me, I'm like, yeah, and then you just iterate and you're like, this one.
Yeah, I don't want to comment because it's so close to what I was going to say. Yeah, so Alicia produces, that's where this function, for the first few bars, the first 2 sentences at the end,
once you find something that inspires you, people who can compose told me that from then on they could just compose by themselves. For me, I can't do that. I'm not composed, but then it becomes easy. You know how to continue, and it's that moment of inspiration that's really key to creating a song. Everybody.
And I think this is key to inspiration. It's also an aspiration, is the idea of the new stuff. Something external to you that gives you something, and then you take it out. And those machines pretty much do that.
Yeah, I just want to think for a minute. It's actually what Arnie said about that experience of the performance connected with something I've been thinking about a lot. And that is the experience of sound and hearing oneself create the sound being absolutely key to the musical inspiration. And that, sound is a very high-dimensional, very complicated thing. And we typically work with fairly low-dimensional, kind of simplified representation, right? When you actually actuate and a sound is created and you listen, you get surprises. So the surprise in Arnie's case was there was no sound at all. The machine didn't know it wasn't making sound. They thought, we're generating MIDI number 32, 26, 15. This is great. You do this forever. They don't know that they're not making sound. And I think this is quite an interesting point. How many of your systems actually, in some way, listen to their output instead of just push numbers into something that's then going to create something?
Well, I'll just say this, in terms of terminology, that's when things become robotic, as opposed to mechatronic. There's feedback and sensing, and that they're able to regulate their systems. So that's, and they're both mechatronic and robotic systems that are basically
Well, in Neukom's architecture, there's a machine listening module, which I went for that because I want the system to be able to perform it. I want to be flexible with the number of performers, so that because that's if I was playing, I could play with like one performer, I could play with by myself. So I was like, machine should be able to do the same.
But the reason we did that is because it's an agent, and agents are sensing their environment, and the consequence of that, which is great with my sound, is that it really is listening to the environment. As part of the environment is what you do, and so it can play on its own and feedback on its own. But if other players come, then it's listening to both himself and the others, and therefore you will not necessarily play the same things, because all of a sudden it may be too overcrowded, and so you will modulate its playing accordingly. But I agree that machine listening is certainly a good way to go to make the systems a little bit better.
Does it listen individually or collectively? Does it listen to a holistic waveform of the combination of?
Yeah, right now it's
collectively, but it's also, I was just about to say that it's another thing that I think that what we do as performers is that as soon as we start playing something and we hear someone else is doing similar stuff, we respond to that as being an answer. And we start, I think, engaging with that performer and just like not listening to the others much. And so there is this notion of focus during improvisation, that we may change our focus to different performers, or we just like listen to the whole thing. So the listening focus always changes, I think, during the performance, and why not an agent should do that? I don't know.
Don't the views bots then listen to one another?
Yeah, so I developed partially in response to that performance, the listening bot, where it's a separate bot where it knows what the intentions are and communicates back to the bots. This is what you're supposed to be doing, but this is what you think you're doing. So the bots don't actually do what they think they're doing. So it says this is actually what's happening, and then they can adjust what you're doing. So there is that feedback. I'm trying to bring that feedback back to it.
I think it's a very good point, and it's one of the many reasons why we don't call this system, the full power NN, musically intelligent. It's gifted in particular ways. It's not composing music. It's generating sequences we interpret those as music and humans. But it's, returning back to the inspiration question, yes, our system gets inspired when its log likelihood increases for the sequence that it's generating. It has no idea what it's doing, but it does certain things well enough to be, that we can use it to get inspired ourselves.
I'll just ask for clarification there. So it's, you wouldn't describe it as a musically intelligent system, but I would certainly say that it must in some way embody musical intelligence or have extract musical knowledge at least from a database. And that relationship to intelligence and knowledge is maybe a deep topic of conversation. But is there a clarification there where it embodies intelligence but it's not intelligent? I mean, it's a kind of sub-module. It's a bit of the brain.
I mean, I think it needs to be distinguished intelligence versus skill. In a sense, our system is an idiot savant. It's really gifted at some patterns, reproducing certain conventions in the sequence that it's seen. But once you try to push it a little outside that boundary, outside that domain, it falls apart and it reveals itself to be a fool, right? It's not generalized. It's not generalized.
Yeah.
So I think
would that be, I mean, so that's kind of feeding to a situated notion of intelligence where intelligence means being able to get something done that's going to stop you getting eaten by a monster or by a dinosaur or whatever. That's our ground truth in the sense of intelligence. It doesn't kill you, then it does something intelligent. We're never really going to do that. And so have we got that kind of never-ending impossible goal of trying to find something that's intelligent by such a definition? In other words, to be truly musically intelligent, it would have to go out and get paid at gigs, or some concrete external motivation factor. Is that where that's heading, or is it just good enough that it can listen to itself and make sensible decisions? If we had this conversation in 10 years' time, we had a system that was listening to itself and feeding back and doing this kind of thinking and analysis, someone might still be sitting here going, yeah, but that's not musically intelligent. Do you think that's the case? Or?
Yeah, I look forward to coming back in 10 years.
With such a system.
I think I will maintain that position too, because I'm partial to Alan Marsden when he says music is human activity. And these recordings, these transcriptions, they're just records of that activity. And these systems that are completely divorced from that culture can't contribute directly.
Right.
That's an extreme position, but I think it needs to be. I mean, in the popular and the most, it's very attractive to post this as human versus machine, and the news organizations, they love to push that story. And I hate that. I fight against it. It's not about replacing humans. It's about augmenting creativity. But they're divorced from music.
They're not contributing to that community, but they're contributing to this community. Which is a different kind, has a different sort of background knowledge and aesthetic goals. So that's what culture becomes.
So are we doing a great job of addressing those issues in the public sphere or even within our community, or are we not doing a good job and causing trouble?
I think we don't think about these meta issues enough. I don't think we talk about why we're doing what we're doing enough. I think we all have good reasons that are, at least I'm speaking for myself. I can't speak for anybody else, but except for what I observe. But I've only recently sort of started examining, hey, why am I doing this? You know what? I mean, I really like it. You know, I really want to do it. I've been doing it for a long time. But why? What is the purpose? And what is the utility of this? And what are the implications of it? I don't have all the answers, but I think it's as important to think about why we're doing it, where it fits in, culturally. It's as important to think about that as it is to think about the systems that we're making, the expert systems that we're making for specific tasks.
It's just
are incorporating culture, all of our systems do in some way, or the same way. It's an expert system that provides some of the culture that is almost trying to imitate it from culture. And if it works with data, then inevitably picks up some sort of data, the way the data is connected to culture. So we're already part of our culture. We're talking the same way, perhaps not as bigger ways. They're not enough.
And in fact, when it comes to, because this is the dominant paradigm right now of data-driven system, big data and machine learning, is the fact that the culture is embedded in the data is very visible when you talk about the algorithmic bias. Like the fact that if you type CEO picture, you look at CEO's pictures on Google, there'll be very few colored people, there'll be very few women pictures there. It's not because Google has any bias per se a priori, because the data which the machine works are like that. They did that in computational creativity. I think all we do, that's why we should totally, AI has been a misnomer from the beginning. So intelligence and creativity are human things, and what we do is we try to automate creative tasks, the same way we used to automate mechanical tasks in the Industrial Revolution, and then we automate conceptual tasks. I mean, Excel is better than any human at making multiplications, and nobody is scared of it anymore. You know, they used to be scared of it, but nobody is scared of it anymore. And then the main use of computers right now is creative tasks. And on those software, you can have a great vision of what you want to do. You have to click on in Photoshop, in design, in music composition software, in all the creative software that are used for creative tasks. There's no AI. And this community's goal, or should be, and in my view, my goal, the reason why I do what I do, is because I want my students and myself to be designing a poster for a conference by saying to the machine, here is 5 posters at the time of the part, this is a new paper, give me 5 examples, and then I start from there. I don't want to click on buttons for 3 hours. Just amazing that way. And that is why I do what I do. And I do it with music too. I want to be able, when I go to France, to make an album of house music in a week, not spend 3 months on it. So I want the machine to be like giving me stuff, and then I'm like, oh, that's good, give me that, I do that. And, yeah, so that's really the concrete goal is anthropomorphic instrumentation. I want tools that are better for what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's the vision. Anything else about the fear of the machine taking over and stuff, I don't buy for it.
So this is actually really interesting because it ties into a question that I wanted to ask 10 minutes ago, but you actually just came to the question. I assisted to the HI conference last year, which is the Artificial General Intelligence. And one thing that was really interesting was that the question of intelligence, as you pointed out, which is a really tough one to answer. I think Bob and Oliver started arguing about whether your system was musically intelligent, and you were basically referring to general intelligence to say that your system is not general intelligent. Whereas Oliver was talking more like a narrow intelligence, which is, so you have all these type of definitions. What was interesting in the conference was that everyone had the definition of what intelligence should be. You know, people wanted to build systems that shouldn't be robots, but they should have properties of humans. Other ones wanted to have pure robots. Other ones wanted to have robots that are anthropomorphic, so have like facial features and stuff like that. I think there was one robot called Sophia from Hanson Robotics that they were presenting there that has capacity to make choices and stuff like that. Some people wanted to have systems that are purely functional, like self-driving cars and stuff like that. And some people wanted to actually, we're talking about super intelligence, which is the thing of, they want robots and all sorts of machines taking all over the world. So like a single system, like kind of like the internet, like a single system that is converging across the entire world, and their motivation was that it would eventually happen. So this is what they're working towards. So I'm not here to judge, but I think it ties really well into the parallel between that and creativity. There are obviously differences, subtle differences between the two, but it's the same question where when we think about human intelligence and human creativity, we understand those concepts more or less in we talk about it, as human beings, what we consider as intelligence or creative, more or less. But when it comes to what it means machines for machine, I think it's in itself a creative problem, right? Where we have different people have subjective understanding of what it would mean for a machine to be creative. Some people want it to be something that's more of a co-creation, where they interact with each other. Some people want it to be something that should be autonomous and totally creative and intelligent on its own. And some people want it to be something that would allow them to have the process done faster. So I think the question here is really, and I think that's what happened, for example, in the HI conference, was that people actually went through a panel and sort of told what they consider to be the system that they would want to have and why. So I just found that this is a way to tie that more formally into the question.
Actually, one thing that I struggle with a little bit is that just because I want to use my system and that's what we're doing in a certain way, doesn't mean that that's where it's going to stop. And we have seen, and this is perhaps touching a sensitive point, we have seen jobs being taken away in the industry. It's not a, sure, perhaps it feels to us that people are being paranoid saying we're trying to make those positions, because it's not what we're trying to do. But somebody could eventually take what we're doing and work in that direction, perhaps not as well musicians, but make some progress with them. So I would much rather believe that it's not possible. What are your thoughts?
There's the former chair of my department has a company that makes software that basically replaces pit orchestras in Broadway shows. So he actually has put people out of work, and they hate him. It's not, it's not as sophisticated as some of the things that we're talking about here. It's an automation of musicians' activities. People who studied their instrument for years and years and went to school and stuff like that. That's why I still play the guitar, because I can't put it away, because I studied it for so long, and I played it for so long, I can't just give this up. I'll just throw all those skills in the toilet, So it's this vestige of an old, of all this effort. And you see the same thing with energy, right? People that used to work in old energy industries like coal and stuff. That's sort of the attitude now, and things are changing, and green energy is sort of proliferating a little bit more. So you have to your skill set has to, or you have to be willing to, embrace a completely different skill set, right? And if you happen to just be on the cusp of that, where you spent years in one system and now things are changing, then it's the human. I think it's a typically human reaction to resist that. But yeah, I totally agree that with the idea of, I don't feel like I'm in this to replace musicians or to take anyone's job or anything like that. But there are side effects that doing things that we can't totally account for.
I think just an important thing to bear in mind is, Philip mentioned the idea that you want to speed up your production. So if you kind of take a simplistic view of music production as an industry, and you say that, let's just say that people who produce music in a workstation, you produce an innovation that speeds up their production by 10%. In theory, that would mean that if the world was a very simple place, then that would mean that 10% of musicians were suddenly out of job, because the amount of musical labor that was needed was made that much easier. And that's true of certain industries, but it's obviously not true of our world. It may be that making music production easier doubles or quadruples the number of people making music, because actually, in an amateur sense to say, but ask yourself the question: how many musicians does the world need? It's a really dumb question. It can't be stupid to start doing numbers on that. We could say that with coal miners or something like that, based on the economics. So I think it's clearly putting orchestra musicians out of a job is a much clearer case. But I don't think in most music creation contexts that's something that we can quite as easily equate to other industries.
But what about jingle writers?
Well, jingle writers, who cares about jingle writers?
That's not music.
Oh, I'm on TV. I know some really great things.
We're talking about that. That's the story of humans and the tools. So first I agree with Renaud, like creativity, like intelligence, everyone has its take on it, and we can have different goals. And there's also it's multidimensional. I mean, for example, body intelligence versus intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence versus analytical intelligence. I mean, it's a vast topic. So that's why it's nice to like definition. Like my definition of this computational creativity has to do with automating creative tasks. Creative tasks are tasks for which there's no optimal solution. This is very mathematically definable. This is all I do, and under those definitions, I do work. Anything else is interesting to talk about, but I'm not interested in work-wise. What I wanted to say is this story that I didn't know this anecdote about the Pit Orchestra. In the 50s, the American Musician Association devoted a lot of budget and some beautiful articles with robots and stuff when musicians were replaced by phonogram in cinemas. When in cinema it stopped to be live musicians, so it was. And before that, when we started automating the lawnmower, gardeners were like these for years and years and years. And before that, in London, some of the largest riots were about the looming machine and the automation of textile production that did put a lot of people out of work and et cetera, et cetera. So the story of humans and tools is that we make tools that make us more efficient at tasks. And of course, it lowers the amount of work needed. And that's a good thing, but as far as I'm concerned, because I don't like working. But after that, the question is political about how we share the work. What's interesting is people react strongly at a system generating fortunes, while nobody is rioting in front of Uber, who clearly wants to put 6 million drivers in the US out of job. Right? And so it's the people's perception and the alignment with reality in terms of how are we going to work to share the work that is left, and the country doesn't have time for people to start making music using some of our system is not really the real question. If we want to go at that social level, is not really asked. There is. Maybe there is. Okay. And it makes sense then.
Yeah. Sorry, just take a little point on that one. I think the difference between people are very upset when people get the jobs, obviously, for obvious economic reasons. But I think people get very upset about the more creative tasks as well because they feel that that's somehow human and that makes us unique or unique snowflakes. And how dare we say an unfeeling computer can actually do that instead of us. So it's not necessarily just that you're replacing humans, it's actually that you're stating that even people can actually do something that inherently makes us feel special and creative and even creative in relation to each other. It's something, music and art and all this kind of thing make us feel talented. We appreciate them in a different level than our day-to-day job. So it's more frightening, I think, some people think that if machines can do this, then really it's going to
Well, I think part of the reason that is because of a misunderstanding of how we work cognitively and perceptually, about our own creative processes, about how when we think we have, as an improviser, I've come up with this new idea that wasn't influenced by anything that I've done before, which is completely absurd. And so I think, a little below the ego of humanity is probably not such a bad thing in context of other animals on the earth. But so I think that's really important. I think not only saving labor is one of the values of these kinds of technologies, but the other is enabling us to do things that we otherwise couldn't do, which is because of our memory limitations, again, cognitive limitations, like listening to a corpus of 25,000 pieces of music and starting to make connections, which we simply can't do. And so the creative applications of that, I think, are really powerful and exciting.
Yeah, I think it's important to reflect. Sometimes I take comfort in the fact that my research is not going to hurt people. Like if I come up with a false finding on some cancer treatment or something, people aren't going to track me. But this work is and can be quite odious in unintended ways. So, for instance, one of my favorite anecdotes, not because it's a nice story, but just because it illustrates something, is that increased literacy in Appalachia. I mean, who would argue against increasing literacy? Being able to read is something that opens up lots of horizons. But increasing literacy in Appalachia led to a decline in folk music and a loss of that tradition because people could now read at home and there wasn't a need to gather and sing. So these unintended consequences are something that we have to think very deeply about. And as often as I can, detractors to my work, I try to engage with them, to figure out, okay, my intention is not to replace humans. But one person has said something that really struck with me. So you're using all this data that we've collected, and we didn't collect all that data for the reason of you applying your system, winning grants, proposals, furthering your career. But what are you contributing to Irish traditional music? That's how. What am I contributing? I'm paying musicians, I'm working with musicians, I'm trying to respect the tradition, but I don't have a good answer.
I want to frame that. I mean, like, we are talking about replacing musicians, but I feel like it's more like keeping the status quo. And why should we do that? I'm not sure about it, because the music and the orchestras were always changing. New ways of making music were always emerging. So why we should keep the way that we were making music? I think that's, as an artist, I really think that's boring. Keep the same form that has been used for like decades.
So Mike goes.
Yeah, so two things. Just one comment. Last night's concert was really fun, and well done everyone. It was an excellent artistic event in its own right. If you take away the idea that it's experiments in X, Y, and Z, or we're researching this and that, you put a lot of work into being creative and creating a moment for a culture of people who showed up to participate. So well done, right? As artists in your own right, removing all these other questions, it was successful. But the point I want to make is then that if you want to ask the question, well, why are we doing this? As artists, you're engaging in maybe a very complicated dialogue with a world that is emerging around us, and you're simply engaging that and addressing it. And is that not enough?
Going back to all this question about are we doing enough? I think in this case, what we wanted to do, it was a specialized audience. We knew that, and we don't know exactly how many people walking off the street, but whether any of the Mountain Gallery usual crowd came to see the show. But I think for myself, who put on a lot of these shows, I'm very careful to present something that is still within that culture, that there was a concert. So if somebody walked in, that there wasn't going to be a 10-minute presentation for each piece. I really did not want that, But at the same time, what I tend to also do is provide information beforehand or afterwards, or websites. I'm starting to do now for every concert that I do, I create a website. So there's more information. I have a concert in July where I lucky enough to be able to hire a publicist, to do some promotion and get this information out there. So we are trying to promote the Mooney brand in that regard, but not change the way we're delivering it too much. So if somebody doesn't know it's computer generated, that's fine. That for me, that isn't the point of the concerts, really. So that's my own personal perspective.
I did talk to a couple of cats who came off the street.
Okay.
And yeah, they loved it. They thought it was great. Anecdotal evidence. But they quite that.
Sorry, it was just. We've still got loads of time, so I was just going to say we can keep going with questions, or we can start to. This is already becoming a bit of a community conversation anyway, so go ahead.
It's more of a comment than a question to him specifically. There was something in response to what Louis was talking about there, about data, because we're talking about
we're using computation to automate processes, to make things easier, and you know, there's so much data, and we can do all this stuff, and it's really just to augment our own ideas and our own locality, and I think that's great and that's brilliant. But to me as well, and maybe I'm kind of being devil's advocate here, but I love the idea of just doing the really epic stuff as well. Like let's see what they can do. Computers in general, let's see what they can do without telling them what to do. Let's see how creative they could be. Have systems that respond to themselves, systems that are self-replicating, or if you take away a bit of the control and give a bit more. I don't know, focus almost on the, to a certain extent, I'd love to be able to answer the question, like, what would machines like to listen to if we didn't tell them what to listen to, okay? That kind of really vague, really out there question that nobody likes, and I think it's fun. And I think it's a tiny aspect of what we do, and I think it's kind of a very experimental question, and I don't want to be afraid of it. I think there's an aspect of this kind of community that there is a home for that there, and it's tiny little corner. And I'm still interested in that. Sorry, just a weird comment.
Are there any responses to that?
My colleague Nick Collins of Durham has a nice article about writing music for computers. Because we apply these computers to extract features of machine listening and have it understand, but oftentimes it's a very impoverished representation of what the music's all about. So let's write music that is well described by those features and give that to the
So I'm kind of the opposite camp. I mean, I'm interested in computers because I'm interested in humans, and the idea that I'm in this because for me to be able to teach a computer how to compose music means I have to understand it more thoroughly and very thoroughly, and so to me it's not a threat that that we're going to replace humans, but it really, nor for me is it a matter of wanting the computer to help facilitate or make it easier for me to compose. But I like what I learn about the composition process and trying to teach it. And I feel that maybe some of the threat that people perceive with computers replacing humans is that they haven't thought deep enough about how they do the things to realize truly how complicated it is, and that there is so much unique about us that we could spend a long time trying to figure out how to get a computer to do that and never get there because we don't totally understand how we work yet, and that's what I think is really cool about what we do.
Yeah, I agree. I think almost like, I don't know if what I'm going to say is wrong, but sometimes we constrain a little bit so much on the output that we want it to sound something so familiar to us or something that we can appreciate, that we need to take a step back maybe and focus less on that and see the process. Because you're right, we don't understand the entire process is going on, so complicated. So if we let a little more freedom in the output and stop maybe not constraining so much to human opinion of what it is, and I know it's not right for human beings, but it's really right for it's not. I do get that argument. But I just think if you kind of relax that constraint a little bit at times, then we could learn so much more about what's going on in the process itself, from computation from computing. By learning more about that, we could learn a bit more about the nature of creativity in humans and in ourselves as well.
We'll comment on it in good point. In machine learning in general too, there's too much of a focus on the output of the system and how well that matches with what we think is the ground truth. And it's to the detriment of progress in the field, because I think the more interesting question and the one that will lead to better advances is answering how that output was generated, what caused the output, and how can we make that output into a better form or more useful form. So it's something that's I've been devoted to in calling systems that don't actually solve problems, but they look like they are solving forces in reference to cover bombs. But I think we need to re-incentivize a lot in the application of computers to these tasks, whether they're creative or fact-finding, on explaining what the algorithm has learned to do and what it's actually doing, rather than is its output the correct answer.
And in a way, that's the difference between the classical machine learning all kind of join the analogy and my handwritten images and that's in the sunlight. And it's interesting that there are parallels, but there are also such clear differences. Whereas in one there's clear line truth and in the other one it's so subjective. And so we have to adjust this logic perhaps to reflect that.
And then eventually we have a chance if we model creativity as it is, and if we get to understand song making better and the system that perform at that to explore a little bit creativity adequately and to expand on those processes in a way that that can be interesting.
Thinking about the comment that Kavanch made about keeping the status quo, there's an anecdote about Irish folk music. Now, probably there's people here who know a lot more about Irish folk music than I do, but Irish bagpiping is famous for being extremely fast and furious. And apparently it wasn't always that way. It used to be very slow and much more peaceful. And there was one piper who had the perfect name, Finbar Fury, real name, who just tore that all up and just, he was the one who sped it up and just went faster and faster and faster. And of course made a lot of enemies and upset a lot of people. And the story is that somebody one day asked him, why do you play the bagpipes so fast? And he said, because I fucking can. And I think that this might be one area where musicians and computational creativity community share. Are we not motivated to do this because it's possible, because we see that it's possible, and it's not being done? And so in a way, I'm exploring the opposite, I'm proposing the inverse of what Philippe has said about saving time. I mean, how many of us have honestly saved time doing this? Do you? Yeah. I mean, I'm glad to hear it. I know that I've spent 10,000 hours creating a tool that's made like 20, 30 minutes worth of music. And is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it, because it was possible.
I just want to comment on what Bob was saying. I think that it's really important to have like both of types of approach, like people that try to have an approach of actually trying to more creativity, looking actually at the process, because like you mentioned, we are interested also in learning about, what is the creative process for you, because it also forces us to ask that question. But at the same time, I think it's also interesting to only think about input output, because then you can find new ways of modeling creativity that people haven't thought about. And I think what happened with machine learning and deep learning, although there are all the incentives and things like that outside of the research field, it's still very interesting in the sense that you have an input and an output that is defined as a problem, but then in between that, the process is really open to how researchers can solve it. And then it also gives a new sort of opening for what intelligence for machine could be, right? Like what it would be for machine to be intelligent. Like if you have a problem with your input output, you can have multiple functions that approximate the same answer, and that would be all be valuable in that respect. So I think it's important to have researchers work on.
Yeah, and I think it's important, the classification experiments, calculating accuracy, all these statistics, that's the only beginning of the story. But all the papers we read, 80% accurate, that's 10% above the baseline, that's 5% above the baseline. Therefore, we've made a contribution. No, you haven't demonstrated much. So
it's a research process problem.
I think that would be an interesting opinion paper, classification of machine learning.
And I think that's why we need to have a good baseline, and I think Philippe was talking about gathering data that we can all test against. I think that's valuable in that sense, because if you have a good baseline and you also have a good way of measuring that baseline, else than accuracy of more than 90%, and we can all talk about things in the same language.
I just to take that a little further. I'm almost totally disinterested in getting modeling input 100% accurately. I actually want to either tweak whatever algorithm I'm using or the input to get flaws that I couldn't predict. And that's the part that maybe that answers the inspirational question. I try to tweak it so that I get something. Oh, that's it's based off what went into it. So there's some relationship there, but it did this thing that's different and unexpected, and now I can pull that back in and incorporate it. That's I think that's as close as I come to encapsulating why I personally use these tools to make them not work properly.
So yeah, so as part of that, so there's an aesthetics of noise, and then but I think beyond that, there comes the possibility of mechanical idiosyncrasy, which is certainly the case with physical robots, which deal with forces in the world. And then, so that's a source of surprise and inspiration, which gets really interesting. But that's possible.
Yeah.
So I have one more question for Andrew, or comment, whatever it was. And then we're going to move on to very quick conclusion and community sessions.
Yeah, so I was going to make a couple of comments. I mean, I think the interesting thing here is that there's so many avenues in which we try and find out new things. And this is what's really rich about this community. I was particularly going to comment similar to this one about the process of this question of what's possible being kind of historical. And again, we can take lists pushing the piano technology as far as you can try and push it and so forth. But also in the computational space, we've got people like Xenakis was really seeking this question, what does the computer sound like? What are the possibilities of the computer? And we're, in a sense, just continuing that. But I don't think these are in contradiction with this thing about human knowledge, trying to understand ourselves. That's why I write books on musicianship, for example, because all of these things are questioned. Where can this go? What does it tell us about ourselves? This is why, in a sense, it's a research community as we're moving forward. And there's questions on all the borders of our understanding as we go forward.
Any last big comments?
I just want to grab one now. So we discussed how what we're doing on past things takes a little long to go, and we discussed that it makes things easier. Perhaps something that you've also experienced. For me, the most exciting things is not my system and other systems. Make certain things possible that were not impossible to me without them. I can't propose it. And definitely the improvisation part. I think.
And then to follow up on the thing of the possible, there is something that has to do with the mechanics of desire. There is something that has to do with humans trying to be gods. There is, 800, there was already, North African engineer genius that were doing like boats with robots playing flute on them, and this idea of being the creator of an autonomous entity. So there things that are more pulsional than practical, for sure, and that's waiting.
Okay, let's thank our panel and so just something that would have been quite nice to actually do, maybe as an exercise for many teachers, actually get everyone to talk about what they think the next 10 years of this field is going to look like, both in terms of the community and the technology. But I didn't think we didn't get that this time, so maybe that's something we should do in the next meeting. Is actually to start to do that, because actually what a lot of people were talking about, if we really think what's going to happen in 10 years' time, or like, will this community gathering in a similar conference to this, I Donald Trump joke uses the word.
Use the VGA, it's been very finicky.
No, I'm using the HDMI. It could be something that could be nice to do, is to actually really start to have a picture of where that's going. I remember the Digital Music Research Network in the UK had this really comprehensive roadmap through of what the grand challenges were, what the potential immediate future was.
So what you're trying to plug and say that there is a double issue of ACM computer entertainment. And then there's an introductory article, and in this article there is already a bit of that, a bit of the future.
Yeah.
There was a nice list there.
Yeah. I'll try this one more time.
So it's ACM computer in entertainment. It's a double issue on musical metacreation.
They don't have the VGA adapter because HDMI is not really. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And I believe humans can still do things.
And I believe that Bob's paper is in that issue, am I right? About the authors.
Yeah, yeah. It works. Okay, it's time to talk about the future. That's the end game. So I'm going to flick through quite a few things really quickly, and then we've got 20 minutes discussion time. And these are things that Philip and Arnie and I have discussed really informally. We haven't really given the time to any more in-depth discussion. But we wanted to get feedback, and we wanted to actually try to take some significant steps to break the mold and develop what we're doing in the organisation. We've been doing this for about 5 years, and we were attached to the AID, the Interactive Digital Entertainment Conference for a while. I think we're much happier generally being attached to ICCC, and that's the kind of vision at the moment. But so far, the organisation of MOOM has literally been Philippe, Arnie, and myself assigning ourselves as co-chairs, and Kivanch also as now a member of the committee. But that's as far as it goes, and we have the program committee. So we're just starting to think. We're looking at the way that ICCC has been organising itself and getting a convention and a process for rotating chairs and steering committees. So we don't have any concrete ideas or proposals, but one thing is we think in the long run, we're conscious of the danger of us just assigning ourselves leadership roles and there not being any process, and we'd like to make sure that we're being more inclusive, maintaining more of a community process of developing the workshop, and ultimately, in time, we'd like to see that becoming established with a constitution and some kind of rolling process of leadership. So roughly, we're just beginning to talk about what kind of steering committee we might set up and involve other people who have some executive power about actually who the chairs are. And ICCC has been building quite an extensive plan, but of course, lots of people here will have been involved in lots of other conferences and journals and things, so I'm sure there are lots of really great ideas for what we might do. Academic focus, we are actually extremely happy. I mean, I was particularly happy this year with how we've managed to maintain the arts-science balance in what we're doing. So personally, I think right now that's a really great balance. We'd like to maintain that. But we're always interested in raising the quality. And I think one thing that's pretty obvious is that there's a large community of AI people who go to mainstream AI conferences and talk about music. And why aren't they coming here? And obviously we're not as big and important as big AI conferences, but I think that is an important missing part of the community that we should be engaging because it might be a kind of existential issue that all of the really big work happens outside of this conference, so that's not ideal for us, obviously. Constantly we're thinking about what that boundary is between things that are new and things that are not new, and that's particularly manifested in the concerts, where we have lots of submissions that are more like NIME, more like electroacoustic composition, but with maybe a small, we had submissions that involved, say, some level of randomness, or some data-driven music, which we tend to be inclined to reject because we can't see the clear new element, but that question is always a process in the end. And the review process, I think we're mostly happy with that, but it's something to keep in mind is we maybe should formalize more what constitutes acceptance, what constitutes rejection, and what the relationship is between our program committee and the chairs of that, and so executive decision making. We've had a couple of keynotes in the past. We haven't tried that the last couple of times, but we'd like to do that as a way of building the correct or a desired community. Diversity, we basically we're really conscious of gender equality in this community, and obviously that applies to ICCC in general and most communities of digital, electronic, music and arts and so on. So that doesn't help that Arnie and I and Kivanch are all men, and we would like to really begin a process of actively working on that. And again, we know that lots of people in different communities have been applied different processes to different levels of success, so we're really open to ideas. And particularly, we'd like to get more leadership with women contributors in that area, and the same with ethnic diversity and also diversity of backgrounds. So we want to try and keep this community inclusive of non-academic contributors as well. New in the media, I think we have a lot more potential to just promote what we're doing, and one way is through social media, which is just grassroots and simple. People getting involved as we have been doing so far. And we started to build a bit of a gallery. There is a new YouTube channel there, I think there is. But that's something we need to work harder on and actually just have more kind of centralized online repository of where things are. And obviously we can start to try and do things that are more ambitious, like get engaged with major events. The concert, we were happy with how that went, but we'd love feedback on the format and the curation and how that came across. We're interested in trying to keep concerts going, and we think that it's something that more people could be involved in, and possibly mean multiple concerts per year. We're always thinking about this as kind of, there's always this tension between different genres, so if we involve scored music, it was great to have more scored music this time around. It was great to have Michael and Gus talking about their Turing test work, and following on from Philip's talk about getting data sets and thinking about tests. So we're always interested in ideas for like large-scale prizes, collaborations. We've got the MuseBox project going on and so on. Slack group was mentioned yesterday. I think that's a great idea. Other forms of communication. And I don't think our proceedings are being indexed at the moment, but they might be when we get into ICCC. That's something we might need to think about. So I set up a feedback form. So if there's not enough time today, if you can get that tiny URL jotted down, then that's just a Google form, and there's just a single text paragraph entry. So you just shove anything you like in there. That'd be really great. So just have anything written down in terms of your thoughts about any of those subjects. Philippe mentioned the special issue. Those are the links to the part 1 and part 2 of that special issue, which came out earlier this year. And we highly recommend everyone to look at that. Sorry, that took longer than I thought. But basically, does anyone have any comments, anything to say on anything that I spoke to so far?
Are these slides online
I
somewhere?
can put them online, they're not online. I put them on the new website somewhere. Yes, I can.
Yeah, or we can send to these lists.
Oh yeah, we've got everyone. Yeah.
Just things to add as well in the past one thing so it basically takes time. At least like it's 150 hours a year to make this workshop happen. In the past, we also had industry, and reaching out to industry takes time. But so in the concrete, to be very, very concrete, we're going to try to sort of step up progressively, and maybe in 2 years, we'll start to be out of it, Oriani and I in some ways, and then be more on the steering committee. But meanwhile, what it means is we want to compose a steering committee of people who are actually doing things. And so what we miss is we want people to jump in and be like, hey, I'm interested, I want to be part of it, what can I do? And if you do things, so that's the idea. I believe in, in really big conferences, like I said, like over the sort of conferences, and it shows through experience that the steering committee is a committee of people who have organized the conference before. They know, what's painful, what works, what doesn't work, and they have this sort of experience. And so we have to say people will get engaged concretely. And so we are searching for someone to do liaison and work with the industry, which I think both in video games and music, there's a tremendous potential for this community to have an impact. And in Boston, we had the people from Isotop and the people from non-defined Econest to come and present. So I think $1 million to Spotify. We are searching, so those are possible domains of interest where I would welcome collaborating with someone, giving them the lead and make something happen for next year. So that's starting tomorrow. Is industry partners, online repository of examples, this idea of test bed and putting together a corpus that people could use and run the algorithm for, and those two things can be together. So if we would have online a place where you get data, but you also have plenty of examples of working systems, that's a great way to convince people, including people from the industry, that we exist by showing like, look here, this is things, and this is what those systems can do. And that can help for publicity and things. Money raising, so sponsorship and things like that, there's also potential there. Concretely, right now, where you count, it comes out of my grants, all these grants, Annie's grants, to pay RA right now is Kivench. It used to be Nicolas Gonzalez, for those who have been there before, like Andrew, and it used to be Brian before that. But there's a lot of legwork to be done. Again, it's a number of weeks per year of work. And marketing and publicity, to having a publicity share. So those are just options, right? And if anyone wants to jump on that, that's a possibility. Someone who would want to work more on the proceedings. Right now, what we do is with Kivench, we just ask the library to issue an SSN and an ISBN, and we do open access online, and we just have an ISBN to make sure it's actually a publication. But we could refine that and do proper open access system, and eventually get someone to find a way to index the proceedings better and get more visibility. Those are a quick list of possible domain in which for next year I would welcome we would welcome people to get involved. I'm sure on the concert side it's likely the same. There's design needs, there's publicity needs, there's local organization needs. So that local organization is a bit different because it's tied to the location. And so next year, do we know where ICCC is next year?
We're going to find out very soon. Or that's not public, is it?
Sorry. Do we know where ICCC is next year?
That's one ICCC in Salamanca.
In Spain. So yeah. So for that last part, for the concert, there's a little of local progress. No one is from Salamanca here, so that's a problem. And then I also wanted to say, just for the numbers, that we started in 2012. Where was it? At Stanford.
Yes.
Yeah. Stanford with the conference on artificial intelligence digital entertainment. And then we had 32 submissions, accepted 16, that's a 50% acceptance rate. 2013 Boston, still with ACMA, 42 submissions, 21 were accepted, that's a 50% acceptance rate. 2014 was a lawyer, both for Aid and for us in North Carolina, 13 submissions, 10 of which were accepted at 70% acceptance rate, which is very high. 2016 in Paris, it went up again to 38 submissions, 21 of which were accepted as 55% acceptance rate. And this year, 2017, this year, 29 submissions and 13 were accepted as 45% acceptance rate. That's the lowest acceptance rate we had so far. And that was nothing for those of you who care about those numbers, working for tenure, etc.
Any comments? Did you have a thought?
I saw Michael's.
Yeah, just wanted to suggest that this is an extremely difficult area to break into, right? You have to be an expert in music and really an expert in computing to some aspect, at a very deep level. And one of the things that this workshop function has is an educational resource. So, but not just putting materials on the web. I think it's a great idea. I think we could contribute all the systems that were submitted to the Turing tests over the last couple of years. We have a lot of them. There's a lot of code. We can see how things work. We have to get permission from people to see if we can do that, collect it in one place. But the idea of tutorials, the idea of pooling together some of the courses that we all teach of these things and sort of seeing is there a way to kind of link some of that so that potentially young graduate students and undergrads can get on board as well at something and be inclusive of them. Very good point.
I forgot to mention, we did organize tutorials. We had a 2015 tutorial at ICCC, a 2015 tutorial at Ishkai. The tutorial at Ishkai, there was people sitting on the floor, like there was people everywhere. Oh, and the tutorial at night in 2014 was also very well attended.
Yeah.
Actually, so I think you're right, there's also a need for that. But that again takes time and resources. And I think the material for the tutorial, we not did a super good job to put it online.
No. But specific tutorials would also be very good, like intensive on machine learning for music or evolutionary methods, or specific people's custom projects. So that, as well as the overview stuff, because the stuff we've done before has been, here's what we use about.
If you put together the tutorial, the workshop, the concerts, Annie is organizing several every year. Well, it's like you can see how that's a full-time job, and the thing is we also already have a full-time job. So that's where help is required, and that's where the community can contribute.
Well, one way I think about it is, it's like, for example, running the Turing test. It takes a lot of effort, right? And there are such initiatives out there that it would help if they kind of had a hub, and that then you kind of co-opt that resource, you kind of get people to come, get the educators to bring their materials, get the testers to bring their infrastructure in, and that way you get more bodies and you get more critical mass.
So, for example, a question to you, Michael, and I don't know how flexible the Neukom Turing test is, but the GRAIL right now, and I have several students doing it in deep learning, and I know the Google and a couple of other actually private enterprises are working on it, is just simply polyphonic composition. So polyphonic style imitation, like the full thing. And so gathering a nice corpus, there's one that is circulating that everyone is using right now, but it's arguably too small, but will it be possible to just very simply put that as a task in the Neukom? And then I guarantee that if you do that, there's going to be a lot more applicants, especially if as a community we sort of decide that that's an interesting task to do.
There's a lot of interest from the Neukom Institute. I've spoken to Dan about this, about about thinking forward about having a sustainable recurring event that does evaluation in doing a long-term collaboration with Boom and ICCC. And I asked him, I said, well, would the prize money still be forthcoming? He said, yeah, we could keep doing that. But to actually really move the thing into this forum, get broader participation and oversight and, have the steering committee kind of really help to coordinate and organize it. And then, what I'm saying is we would then come into this organization and kind of help shoulder some of that responsibility. So we can bring some of the resources in to help that be part of this community. I think this is kind of a win-win. And I think there probably are similar initiatives that if you look at them on their own, it's quite inefficient to run something as a small group on your own. It's much better to have a coordinated activity.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're in agreement that that would be good to do.
I'd just like to underscore some stuff around the concert thing, which I agree. I thought that we did a great job this time, but I'm aware that it was a lot of work for a few people, made more difficult because of distance and the amount we had to rely on people locally. So combining that kind of concern in a sense with the fact that I think the workshop is working really well with ICCC, I think that partnership is going well, is perhaps to talk to the ICCC organisers about the fact that if MOOM is going to continue to have that association, then as they pick a new city, they should go, well, at least let's make it a concert is going to be part of ICCC conference. And we need to make sure that the local committee commits to having a concert organiser as part of their crew. And that I think would go a long way.
That's exactly what we requested actually. We haven't had it confirmed back at us, but we've made that very clear. Yeah. And that there's a budget. So that there's a bit of money from the conference.
Yeah, because having run a few of them myself, I know how much.
But it's crippling when you're trying to run it from it's got a lot of drag. Possible. Well, we're supposed to be done at 12:10 actually, so I don't want to hold you back from lunch. If there's any last burning comments, fire away. Otherwise, we're obviously around the week, so we would just love to hear from you. And please do just put anything that comes to mind, anything at all. You can put your name on it or you can keep it anonymous. Just on that feedback. Well done. See you next year.
See you next.
No, I'm sure not, but is that different for someone?